Hi, my name is Jeff. This is a beautiful piece of junk. So this is a beautiful Vespa 90 SS 1966. What interesting, it's a very, very rare scooter. So this is basically, uh, if this is the rule, this is the exception to the rule of, what you have to check in terms of a vintage scooter that you found in a barn. So if you look in the description below, we're going to add the link to a video that we made a few months ago. And it's about what you have to check. It's a kind of buyer's guide for a vintage scooter. And this is a great example because you have to be very careful with what you're gonna buy. In the same time, you have to check what you're gonna find, and the reason is because this is a very very rare bike, but in a condition that usually if it was just a normal bike, we're gonna trash it. We're gonna throw in the garbage or use it as a flower pot. But actually, this bike is very interesting. So even with this terrible condition, that bike worth a lot of money. So that's the reason why you have to be careful and check the serial number and make sure that you know exactly what you buy when you look at the a barn find or a scooter that you find somewhere. So we're gonna have a closer look to this bike. But if for a short history, this bike came from Ontario, and the original owner used it as an enduro or a dirt bike, in the 80s. Obviously, he didn't know what he had in his hand. Um, and he crashed the bike in the woods. He didn't care at all, but he bought it new in 1966. So it's really interesting. Um, and we're gonna do a full restoration because it's worth the time to do that kind of job on this bike. But it's a terrible bike. It's really in very rough shape, so it's a lot of work to do something nice with that. But we're gonna do it. So if you look closely, we have the typical 9ESS handlebar here. And if you look, the handlebar is smaller, and it's a cut version of the regular Vespa Primavera headset. But you also have a drop bars. If you look, the two bars are going down. So this is super rare. It makes like a kind of racer. So basically that bike was supposed to be like a kind of little racer bike. So we look closely, and if you look here, the leg shield is cut to make it smaller, so it's more aerodynamic. Sorry, my English is really bad. So yeah, if you look closely, I mean that bike was obviously beat up, and it's all smashed. The fork is bent, but we can get a new fork, and the front fender is missing here. But you look at the shape, it's terrible. So basically, if you look, the bike is not even straight. So the whole frame is bent. So we're gonna have to unweld everything, replace the old panel here, and straight it up. So it's gonna be a huge job, and we have a new horn cast panel to replace here. So if we look at the frame right here, we can see all the stress mark. I mean, the frame bent right here. Okay, so that has to be fixed. So we're gonna have to straight up the frame somehow for this thing. But it's no big deal, we can do it. In the same time, we're gonna replace the whole floor panel and the leg shield panel. It's basically like a small frame. It's the same thing as a small frame. So if you look at the main feature of the 9ESS, the thing that makes everything, that's a real 9ESS, is the seat. The seat goes like this. So right now it's not bolted, but you have the hinges. The hinge is right here, so it goes like that. And the reason they do that is for a piece that is missing right now on this bike. You're gonna see more on the pictures that we provide. We are supposed to have a glove box right here to make it more like a racer bike, and we have a spare wheel holder. I mean, the spare wheel is supposed to be straight here, vertical. So we have the glove box, and you're supposed to have a small pad, okay, so you can lean in front to go faster. So it's like a kind of little racer bike. Another thing that we can see from the back, this pipe is supposed to be chrome, and it's the original one. So today, I mean, we get something similar to that on the Vespa 83. But this is a Vespa 90 SS. It's a real original one. If we look in the back here, you have Super Sprint. So this is a real one. And the big mark, I mean the big thing that we have to check right here. So you check the serial number. So if you look at the serial number, you have V9SS1T, which is a real Vespa 90 SS. So this bike, as is in that terrible condition, worth a fortune. Now, if we look closely, we have an original paint bike, but it doesn't matter. We're gonna have to redo everything on this bike. So basically, yeah, it's a huge project for us, but I think it's worth the time and the money to do that kind of project. So we took the time to put side by side two small frames. So you have here it's a 1976 Vespa 100, but it's basically exactly the same frame as the first one they made in 1964. So you have here side by side a Vespa 90 SS and the 100 version, which is the same as the 90. So you can see the difference. You can see right here that the leg shield is totally different, and we have a good look of the handlebar. You can see like this. So it's the same position. So we can see obviously that this one is dropped, and this one is really large, very wide. But basically, it's the same frame. It's the same bike, okay. And the engine itself is totally different. On the 90 SS, we have a stronger, more powerful engine with a 4-speed version, and this one was 3-speed, like the Vespa 50. So over the years, we started to collect a lot of stuff, and we found an original owner's manual for this bike, for the Vespa 90 SS, which is super, super rare. So this is an original one. So you can see here. So that gives you an idea of how it looks originally. So you have the famous glove box with the spare wheel and the cut leg shield and the drop bars. So it's pretty incredible that we found this owner's manual, but better than that, we have something else. And this is the ultimate, the holy grail of the documentation with the Vespa. So this is a brochure of the Vespa 90 SS Super Sprint. It's in French, so it's even more rare. So basically the Vespa 90 SS was sold only in Canada, in Italy, in UK, and New Zealand. That's the only place that we got that model. So this one is in French, so basically it was for the Canadian market, the French-Canadian market. So it's pretty rare. I mean, we get a nice brochure. All right. It's coming. Voila. This is beautiful. So that's the ultimate stuff that we can find for that bike. It's really, really super rare, but it's beautiful. So that was the presentation of the Vespa 90 SS 1966. Thanks for following us on YouTube. You can also find our Facebook page and our Instagram page. All right, thanks.